Hey gang, back, and today we're going to be talking about Phuket, Thailand, and crazy new stuff that's come up in the last couple weeks there. They finally get tourists coming back, they finally start reviving the tourism industry, and of course somebody comes up with something that is going to make that less appetizing for foreigners coming in. So let's just get right into what they're actually doing there in Phuket. The immigration office in Phuket back on March the 1st, and they did a whole press conference on this. It was announced in the newspaper, the English language newspaper there, which is the PhuketNews.com. It's where I've been following this story. It's a really good English language one. You should check that out. And they announced a new system that they were going to put in place for dealing with what they called bad foreigners. If you actually look at the article in the Phuket News, it's entitled "Red Card System Launched for Bad Foreigners in Phuket." Now, what this system that was announced is that there was going to be a yellow card, red card system, kind of like in soccer for foreigners. And so if you were caught doing an offense that was illegal, then they could issue you a yellow card, which would be a warning, but not just a warning, as we'll see in a second, or a red card, which would mean you would be deported. If you got 2 yellow cards, that would translate to 1 red card, and you get immediately deported from the country. The yellow card, though, is, at least what they said at the press conference, was if you got one of those, you could continue your vacation or your holiday there in Thailand, and then when you left the country and came back, you would be deemed not allowed to enter the country because of your past bad deeds. Now, there's no specifications if this is a 90-day ban or a year ban, or you have to come back one time and get rejected and then you can come back again. This program is so short of details, it's almost completely discretionary. And the types of offenses that they were talking about under this card system at the press conference was things like riding a motorcycle without a helmet, or having a driver's license, but it's not the correct driver's license. For instance, maybe you have a driver's license that allows you to drive cars, but you're on a scooter and you don't have the scooter endorsement. So these are very minor traffic offenses for the most part, and one of them, which is the driver's license one, is a big moneymaker for the police in Phuket, really in lots of different parts of Thailand. But it essentially goes like this. If you are like me, an American, and you have an American driver's license and you come to Thailand, or go to Thailand, I'm currently in the Philippines, but if you go to Thailand, then that driver's license is not recognized there. You have to have, in addition to that, an international driving permit. Now, it's easy to get as an American. You go down to like AAA, and essentially it's a document. It's good for 1 year. It's under the treaties. It's not a driver's license. You actually have to have a driver's license for it to work. All it basically really does in practice is take your driver's license and translates it into like a bunch of different languages, such as Thai, so that they don't have to read your English language driver's license. Well, lots of folks who go there for vacation don't know that, and the police know that. If they pull somebody over, there's a high likelihood that they're not going to have that international driving permit. I had mine when I was there because I actually knew about this, but they're only good for 1 year, and at least before everything that's happened in the world the last couple of years, you always had to renew it in the home country. So they would pull people over randomly just to see if they had this thing, and then they could fine them if they didn't have it. So that's the legal up and up side of it. The real moneymaker on this was not the legal side of it. Yes, those people had broken the law by not having that, but what they would do instead of giving them a fine is they would ask for a bribe on the side of the road. And this happened a lot, and it happened all over Phuket. All over Thailand as well. This is something that is very well known in the expat community about living in Thailand, that they pull you over for no reason, basically, just to find out if you have that permit. If you do have that permit, I've talked to people who the officers apparently get very frustrated because you've got it, because they've got nothing they can do at that point, or they figure you know the system. And there's been a big crackdown on corruption of bribery and stuff like that. Even in the immigration system, they have over like 100 officers right now who are under investigation for bribery and corruption charges. So there was a crackdown on that. This new system, although it has probably really good intentions, because there's a lot of bad foreigners behaving badly there in Thailand and in Phuket. It becomes a party town for foreigners. But it has a really good chance of abuse, because if they know now, if this has been delegated down to the officer at the scene that he can give you a yellow card, or he knows in the system you've got a yellow card and he gives you another, you're going to get deported from the country. He's got a lot of leverage over you. So he's pulled you over and he finds out, you didn't have your seatbelt on, or you didn't have a helmet on while you were riding the bike. Again, you're not obeying the law, but these are very minor traffic offenses. And he's like, hey, a couple $100 US here, and maybe you don't get deported. So you can see that this is open for abuse in a place that this does happen. This is not like some unheard of thing that happens in Thailand. It's very well known. It does happen. It happens in Phuket. Now, fortunately, this program right now has only been rolled out to Phuket. They tried to get Bangkok to roll it out nationally, and Bangkok said, no, you want to do it in Phuket, that's fine. And I'll give you an anecdotal example of something that I saw. I was in Patong when it was really dead. It was just first starting to reopen back in 2021, I think I was there in October and November. And I was sitting out on the beach one day, and I was just observing. I was in a car, so nobody seemed to bother any of the foreigners that were in cars. And I watched as they pulled over, basically, and I'm going to have to say it, they just pulled over any white person that was on a bike. It was just over and over and over again. They had them stacking up. And I saw roadside transactions being done there, court money being paid on the side of the street. And this was over and over again. And then I'm not saying some of these people weren't breaking the law, but some of them were just being pulled over for license checks. It was quite obvious what was going on there. And so that was at a time when the entire island was hurting. You have to remember, back during the pandemic, there were people that didn't have food. They had no money. There were foreigners who were expats living on the island that were pulling together resources to feed hundreds of people during this time, because there simply there was no money. There was no tourism. And Phuket is almost completely dependent upon tourism to funnel its industry. When I was in Coron, and I've got some footage there, that everything was dead. There was like a 7-Eleven open and a couple of street vendors and nothing else. The entire beach area, which would normally be hustling and bustling in the busy season in December, and it was all closed up. It was all closed up. When I was down on Koh Phi Phi, which is not in Phuket, but it's a nearby island in the Krabi province. But again, it was just devastated. It was dead. I talked to shop owners there, and they were missing their backpackers and stuff. So this is a province that was really hurting. And the immigration during that time, during the amnesty things, they were just giving out amnesty to anyone that was applying for it, basically, and trying to keep anybody there that they could to prop up what was left of the local economy and try to rebuild. And to have something like this done, and I'm sure it was with good intentions to try to get rid of bad actors, but the ripple effects that you're going to see coming down from this, there's already people in the local forums there in Phuket and in some of the other forums that are basically saying, they're just not going to bother with it because this is open for bribery, especially people that have very high-end visas, like the Thai Elite visa. You come in on that, you've paid $20-something thousand, so you can come in for 5 years, 10 years, whatever, and some street-level enforcer is going to be able to make a determination if they can give you a yellow card, that under this system that they're saying right now, again, if this shakes out, that you don't get to come back into the country next time. That's a huge investment that you've put in there. And there are very few details on this thing. So I have a feeling, based on what I'm seeing in the comment sections and the forums and the expat groups, is there's a lot of people that are just going to avoid Phuket, and they're going to head over to Koh Samui, they're going to go up to Pattaya, they're going to go to Hue Hin, they're going to go to lots of different places because they're not going to take the risk that that's going to happen at the local level. And we saw, even when they were hurting back then, that as soon as they had a chance to start getting bribes again and things, that certain elements in the different police forces did that. And I expect that we'll see stuff like this again. Even the commentators in the newspaper and stuff are already talking about how this is open up to that. That's their newspapers. That's not my opinion. That's their local writers. All right, so that's the crazy news out of Thailand. I was actually keeping up with this stuff because I'd like to go back there and take a vacation, but at this point, with this nonsense, I won't be going back to Phuket this year. I can tell you that much. Maybe they get it cleaned up. It's low season right now. We'll see what happens.